Here are the best mods for Half-Life Alyx that released in 2023. I'll start off with the custom levels. If you've never played any of these custom campaigns from the workshop, you're really missing out. Re-Education has some custom voice work for both Russell and Alyx. This one's about 30 minutes long and it takes place in and out of a school. This is some of the most creative level design that I've seen, and it was really enjoyable even after playing so many custom levels. The modder, Polygrove, actually got a job working for Valve and said publicly on Twitter a large part of this was down to his Alyx maps, which tells you how good they are. Posthuman is a great collaborative effort between many of the best Alyx modders. It takes about 45 minutes with some great visual elements with an almost post-apocalyptic feel to the sections. It's got some great set-piece moments and it also has a unique enemy near the end. Extraordinary Value is one of the longest maps from this past year with well over an hour long. It's got some nice outdoor open sections. You end up in some more cramped spaces with some pretty tough gunfights. The same modder released another map towards the end of the year called Discarded, which is based within the same story and lore of Extraordinary Value, but it's got a real shift in tone with you waking up in an abandoned asylum. This is more of a survival horror map which does a great job of taking the existing Alyx assets and really giving it a different tone to the main game. It's got a really creepy atmosphere and it uses dead zombies that don't have head crabs on, which gives them a more unique feel. I don't want to spoil too much. It's got some really nice moments where you go back to previous parts of the map which have now changed, and it's got some interesting spooks. There's a really good remake of the Canals level from Half-Life 2 which looks really good in VR with the Source 2 engine. It's short, at about 10 minutes, but it's still worth playing through in my opinion. Tau Ceti 17 does something different. It takes away combat and puts you on a space station in zero gravity, and it gives you objectives to do, including going to a planet. You can float around in space, and to go up you hold your hands above your head, and to go down you hold your hands by your sides. It can be difficult to know where to go at some times, which can lead to some frustration, but I really like to see modders do something different, and being in space is always cool in VR. Euphoria is a very basic map. You're in a room with some Combine soldiers as your allies, and some music plays with hordes of zombies coming through doors. It quickly becomes pure chaos, and it uses a bunch of licensed songs that I can't play that do make the map better. Buckshot Bugs is a shotgun only map, so it takes place in a lot of tight spaces, but it's also got some open areas where you're fighting. It uses the full range of enemies with some great antline battles, and because you're only equipped with a shotgun and grenades, you're forced to rush the enemy at times, and using cover is essential. The level takes about an hour, and it's got an incredible attention to detail in the environments, and I especially like the little secret room full of cats, including this tiny version on the windowsill. It also uses custom music, which is dynamic, and it fits really well. The absolute best custom level, not just from this year, but now my personal favourite of all time, is Zeptix. This thing is incredible, with lots of custom assets which you won't see in the main game. It's got custom enemies and traps, like a minefield that you have to navigate whilst head crabs come from under the ground to attack you. It's got some awesome set piece moments, like in this open train yard where you've got a dropship that swoops around dropping in reinforcements. It actually starts out with a little treasure hunt where you have to find some items and load them into your car. They can be tricky to find, so make sure to search high and low. It really plays with space well, with sections in larger open areas, usually followed by smaller, tighter spaces. It takes all the existing enemies from the game and uses them in really creative and interesting ways, like a section where you have to go through the dark and turn on spotlights with generators. Each time you turn on the generator, a bunch of zombies and headcrabs attack you out of the darkness. Because you can't see where they're coming from, the headcrabs will jump at you without warning, making it very intense. There's also a fantastic Jeff encounter, and I also love how they have some distance from the Combine in places. And I only really noticed just how incredible the sound of the enemy guns are in this, with the way that the reverb of the environment. Because the main game has the Combine so close most of the time, you never really notice this. On top of all that, it's also extremely long, something my ex never said. It's going to take you about 6 to 7 hours to complete. It never gets old as it's got amazing pacing, constantly changing things up and introducing new elements or environments for you to explore. I can't recommend this level enough, and it's amazing how modders are still able to take the Half-Life Alyx gameplay loop and still keep it interesting even after I've spent over 80 hours in the game. I also want to highlight a couple of custom campaigns that released last year that I missed. Computer Adventure starts you off in a white room with a computer. This is Russell's computer, which you end up breaking. You end up going on a really creative adventure trying to fix it with all sorts of random events along the way. There's a section that emulates Left 4 Dead, you have to score some hoops on a basketball court, and then you end up in a bar talking to cardboard cutouts of Duke Nukem amongst others. It's really fun and different, and you never know what's going to happen next. Cornered is another banger. You start off in an apartment and the attention to detail is insane. There's just so much stuff all over with so much detail. And you're also in City 17 and have a balcony to soak in the view. You have to align some antennas with some dishes that are attached to buildings throughout the city. Then you get ambushed and the entire level is you trying to escape the apartment block, with combine soldiers at every turn. It has a bunch of scripted sequences, so you can't use the Merciless mod with this one as it breaks stuff. Not that you need to anyway, as it's already pretty tough, incredibly cinematic, and has a gunship flying around trying to kill you. There have been some other mods released, like this Desert Eagle pistol replacement. It looks great, it sounds extremely powerful, and it's also fully upgradable. It's more powerful than the standard pistol. You can actually kill a combine grunt with 2 shots anywhere on the body on normal difficulty, compared to the 5 shots it'll take with the standard pistol. This makes it a good weapon for people wanting to speed up the time to kill, so that the enemies don't feel as spongy. A long requested feature is finally here. You can now jump with the jump mod, which when enabled, as you move forward with smooth locomotion, if you press the teleport button, you'll jump in the game. Brutal Blood is a mod for all you psychos out there. It replaces the standard blood decals with something more gory, so you can actually see chunks splatter against the wall, and when you kill a combine, a pool of blood appears on the ground. The bullet penetration mod allows bullets to go through some objects and certain walls. In this example, when I try to shoot through this metal bucket, I just drop it and the bullet doesn't go through. With the mod enabled, it now goes through and it hits the enemy. The last mod I'll mention isn't actually new, but it's so good that I have to give it another shout out. The Merciless Alyx mod is my favourite non-campaign mod, and it can be used in most custom campaigns to improve the gameplay. It makes all the enemies harder, zombies move quicker, head crabs don't do the little warning before jumping, antlions go straight for the attack and are more aggressive, and the combine in particular are harder, and it can make some of the gunfights pretty brutal, so be warned. They're much more aggressive and quick to shoot, they cause more damage so you can die very quickly, but they also go down faster with 2 headshots to take out a grunt compared to 5 on normal difficulty. This means that you can tear through them much quicker, but because they're so deadly, you really have to use cover and be more tactical. For me, this makes it much more enjoyable, and I use this mod for all my custom level playthroughs, other than the ones where it breaks stuff like with the cornered level. And that's this year's roundup of some of the best Alyx mods. I haven't played all of them, so if you think I've missed any, let me know in the comments. And as always, a massive thanks to my Patreon and YouTube supporters, who have really made a huge difference for me financially, and allow me to continue trying to do this as a full-time job.